what's going on? Looks like I have another project here on my bench, and this is a real classic. This is a third rail J1a, and I'm going to get ready to set it up the way I like with some electric railroad crews, some Lionel rail sounds with the J1a sound set that I have the sound ROM for, and hopefully I'll be able to fit the Lionel 3-board rail sound setup in it. But right now it's actually got PS3 in it. It's actually, this is an engine that's been converted to DCS, and this came by way of a couple of buddies. Spent some time with each of them, and I think this was bought at York back in like '99, and it's kicked around, and at some point it showed up last year or the year before at my house with some driveline problems. So we had a couple slip drivers, and I was asked to take a look at it. Being the nice guy that I am, I decided I was up to the challenge. And what ended up happening was there was so much wrong with the drivers. We had like at least two sets slipped, and there were some mismatched rods and things like that. An old mentor of mine, Bob Bartizak, if you're not familiar with his work, he's got the Penn Western layout. It's a really nice 3-rail O-gauge layout. High rail, does real operation on it and stuff. He's always helped me out in the past with some advice and stuff like that. And he hooked me up with somebody that does third rail repairs. And we got a whole new chassis for the thing. So it's brand new in the mechanical department. And like I said, my plan here is to put electric railroad cruise commander in it. And it's gonna be kind of a shame because the DCS PS3 stuff runs pretty nice and conventional. I almost feel bad taking it out, but I don't have DCS on my layout. I never set it up for it. I run TMCC and Legacy. It's my preferred control system and sounds and all that stuff. So we'll go through this and show you what I'm gonna do. So these are the components I gathered for my upgrade. This will be my my plan A. I want to go with just a pretty standard cruise commander kit, and this is the full bodied version, not the Cruise M, where it's just a replacement for like a DCBR or DCBRS or whatever. This is the full version, kind of like what I was showing you in that SD9, that third rail SD9, same thing. So it comes with a motherboard, comes with some program switches, things like that, and the R4LC or whatever they're using now. And I want to use this 3-board classic Lionel rail sound setup. So it's just a motherboard, and this has all the breakouts. You can connect power, sound pot, the signal sound switch, things like that. And then I've got the sound ROM on one end, and then the rail sounds audio power supply, and I believe the audio driver too. So this is a nice, pretty powerful audio setup, and I don't care what anybody says, this sounds so awesome because of this board. Lionel built this stuff like, I don't know, very it's industrial sized or something, and this is my favorite setup. If I can fit this into an engine, you can get these motherboards. There's a bunch of different configurations. I believe this is out of the Mogul or something like that. These other header pins, I think, are for that 80/20 board for driving the IR tether and stuff like that. I do have others that don't have that at all, but that's the basic concept for the rail sounds, using like the Lionel OEM parts. And then I've got some Lionel OEM parts from their Legacy J1a. Thought it was fitting to try to use this speaker setup. You know, well, we'll try this out. I'm hoping, that's a big tender. I'm hoping all this stuff fits. You can kind of layer stuff over. I believe in a lot of Legacy setups, they kind of cantilever some of their boards over stuff like that. So we'll see. That'll be the challenge. That's my plan A setup. It's kind of my dream setup for this engine. Very similar, I guess, to my Rail J1a, which is kind of running the stock electronics, except it has a Cruise M. And then, of course, I always have a plan B and a plan C. So I've got some electric railroad speakers with their enclosures, and I can configure these maybe with some more flexibility than the Lionel parts. And I also have some version of an electric railroad board, I think from the late, I don't know, like 2008 or something. This was a board, it was a powered motherboard that you could plug like a standard Lionel sound ROM on top of. It does not sound as nice as the Lionel 3 board setup, but it's also way smaller, as you can see. So, I don't know. And then for comparison, this is kind of like a modern, I guess this might be a Rail Sounds light board or whatever, but this is kind of the architecture of the modern electric railroad stuff. Again, this is kind of like what I showed you in that SD9. They even do this for the OEM installs, but this is a full soundboard. I don't even know what it's for. This is ATSF on there, but I can't remember what that board was for. So at some point I need to figure out what I want to do about the tether. This has some kind of like 10-pin tether, I think, to support the PS3 electronics. And I'm not sure if these are actually PS3 electronics. I'm just calling them that. I don't know. But on some of my older third rails, I used their stock tether setup, which was just 4 wires. So I have some of the original parts here in a little pile. And, you know, the original 4-wire tether was just center rail, outside rail power, and motor leads. And third rail would typically put some kind of power supply for some kind of semi-constant lighting for the headlight and maybe the class lights. So on this setup, though, I may try to do like a minimalist kind of install, which I've done on some of my other engines like the Decapods. With the electric railroad Cruise, your feedback is counter EMF feedback, so you don't need to set up an encoder on the motor for the closed loop control. It's really nice in that way. It simplifies the wiring, and I'll probably just make some kind of constant lighting for the headlight, or just hook something up that'll just run off track power. I do kind of like having cab light or the headlight hooked up to track power. It's kind of a nice way to just monitor if you have track power on. It's kind of passive, whatever. And I probably don't have that much occasion to shut off headlights on a steam engine anyway, I guess, unless it's running in a double header, so I don't know. So I'll be pulling these markers or the class lights, whatever, as in my last couple videos I talked about how I just can't stand this look. Doesn't have a smoke unit. I don't care about smoke. I am not going to wreck this thing with atomized, vaporized mineral oil, because that's all that is, man. It's not even freaking smoke, you guys. And it's got to go somewhere. So where does it go? It goes all over your weathering. Just trashes out. So during the course of playing around with the component layout on the tender, I found that this speaker housing is just a tad too high. So this is a Lionel Baby Fat Boy setup. So this is what they're using in their it's funny, they're using it in their J1a, and I think like their Hudsons and engines like that. But vertically it's very tall, and I don't have any reservations about really taking it to the belt sander or whatever, but I ordered another version of the Baby Fat Boy housing from the K4, so it's a lower profile, and I hope it gives me nice sound. So I'm gonna play with that, see how it sounds, and then, like I say, I got a lot of things to do to this tender frame. I gotta make a better pickup roller. I'm gonna remount that Katy. Maybe I'll hang a brake hose on this. So that's where we're at on the tender right now. So I got the engine stripped down and gutted, and here's the frame. And I was just going through and I was just cleaning up the power wiring and the motor leads. And I decided I'm going to keep this MTH 10-pin tether. I believe this is MTH. and right now I just have the power leads, motor leads hooked up to it. I'll probably run the headlight through here and maybe a cab light. That's it. No smoke. Like I said, don't like it. And have the lighting controlled by the electric railroad board. So, and this is, you know, a third rail classic tower drive from this era. This kind of predates their quiet drive belt system, and I think this is about a 15-to-1 gear ratio. I have some decapods, the I1 decapods. They actually have like a 32-to-1 gear ratio, so those things really run nice. I expect this to run nice though, no matter what. So, looking forward to getting it upgraded and running. I'm gonna try to get it running at least to test the drivetrain and all that stuff this weekend. So.